If you would just give him another round of applause. And now, if you would just take a nice, even breath, put your feet flat on the floor. As I do the invocation, Infinite Spirit, in whom we live, move, and have our being, we acknowledge the presence, the power, the activity of Spirit that's right now present in this service today at Miracle Center for Spiritual Living, 2653 South Taylor Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio. We are one with God as we listen to the message that's presented by Reverend Leora Nash. Just know that each and every person that has anything to do with this service is blessed. I'm H. Jerry Lawson, practitioner with Miracle Center for Spiritual Living. Our ministers, Reverend June, Reverend Teresa, and Reverend Leora, they're all blessed in this day. Each and every one in the audience is blessed. Our Board of Trustees is blessed. Miracle Center for Spiritual Living, the building is blessed. Each and every person on their way, each and every person that's out there in the electronic land. Our Zoom technician is blessed. And I just give thanks for this wonderful, wonderful day in December. And if you're in agreement with me, please say with me, and so it is. Amen. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Miracle Center for Spiritual Living. Welcome to this house of God. And our affirmation for today is out beyond the idea of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. Shalom Adin Rumi. That's a pretty good one. Suggested science of mind point of view. What life does for us must be done through us. Let's just think about that for a second. What life does for us must be done through us. It is useless for a troubled mind to beseech God to bring peace to it. God is peace, and we can approach this wonderful presence only as we turn from all that is opposed to it. It is useless to ask God to save sinners from eternal damnation, since the divine mind conceived neither hell nor devil. Today's topic, who we acknowledge as being part of our community is a vital part of creating community. When we see people in our community as outside or fail to see them at all, we limit the possibilities for our greater whole. Whatever the perceived difference, there is value in making genuine connections with all people. Spiritual experience is not an opinion, it is a fact. Spiritually may be defined as an atmosphere of good, the realization of God. It cannot and does not borrow its light from another. No matter how great or noble he may be, it springs from within, coming from that never-failing fountain of life, which quenches every thirst, whose source is in eternity, the spring of self-existence. It is a revelation of the self to the self, putting one back on the track of his or her own self-dependence on spirit. One's own at one meant with reality. The Bible in the Light of Religious, this is by The Bible in the Light of Religious Science by Ernest S. Holmes, 1929. And now for the first Sunday in December, I always say that every time you blink your eyes, another month goes by. If you would take up your card that's close by, and those of you at home, I hope that you've gotten a copy of the Declaration of Principles. Has everybody found their card on their seat or close to them? And now, for all you fast readers, please slow down, and all you slow readers, please speed up, so we can all be right in rhythm and read it at the same time. So if you're ready, I believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. I believe in the incarnation of spirit in man, and that all men are incarnations of the one Spirit. I believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. I believe that the kingdom of heaven is within myself, and that I experience this kingdom to the degree that I become conscious of it. I believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. I believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. I believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. I believe in a direct revelation of truth to the intuitive and spiritual nature of man, and that any man may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. I believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thought and acts upon it. I believe in the healing of the sick through the power of this mind. I believe in the control of conditions through the power of this mind. I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. I believe in my own soul, my own spirit, and my own destiny, for I understand that the life of man is God, and so it is by Mr. Ernest Holmes. Wow. If you say that every day, you can't help but become closer to spirit. Next, we will be entertained by a song called Surely the Presence. And this is a song that we used to sing ourselves a long time ago when we had choir and so forth. And I just always, always, always loved it. So it's up and turning. And next, we're going to ask the reader to come forward for today and give us a lesson.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The land of I'm right, a short story. In the beginning, everyone got along. All were focused on what they wanted to do. Even the children with their gift of truth, tantrums, and tears were given hugs and not necessarily their way. It was a time to give and take, equal measure, laughter, learning, and love. Then it happened that somewhere along the way, anger flared, feelings got hurt, misunderstandings escalated, and positions got entrenched. And everyone got set in their ways, which became the right way, and then the only way. And they built a wall of attachment, brick by brick, cemented with righteousness, making change unlikely. Acceptance of other ideas was viewed as weakness, understanding as acquiescence, consideration as blasphemy, and so on. It continued that all held on to the way as if nothing else existed. So for them, nothing did. Until one day, a young man named Jesse Stone came upon the wall of attachment and saw a brick missing. There was light shining through. When he bent down to look into the light, he saw beautiful green eyes flecked with gold looking back. He quickly withdrew as if startled by being seen. The next day, Jesse returned to see if the light was still there. When he walked up to the wall, he saw that 2 bricks were missing and more light was pouring through. When he looked through the opening, a hello greeted him, as well as the smiling green eyes flicked with gold, and he met Jeannie Bond. Instead of leaving, they stayed. Leaning up against the wall, they spoke to each other of what they knew of the way on each side. They spoke of life experiences, lessons learned, dreams, and of loss and pain, differences in philosophies, expectations, and values. They also laughed at the different styles of the people they knew, but grew silent, knowing the controlling aspect of both their lands. As the days passed, they met at the wall as much as possible. Soon, when curiosity got the better of them, they removed additional bricks and discovered a shimmering doorway they could pass through to explore each other's way. When they stepped through the door, they exchanged, I'm right for I'm listening. And in a moment of transcendence, knew how I'm right diminished their ability to know strangers and loved ones, workers and friends. They saw that over the years, citizens of both lands had closed the door and built the wall until everyone forgot it was what separated them from one another. Soon, people on both sides of the wall noticed the open doorway. As Jesse and Jenny moved freely through the wall of attachment, they started taking more people to the other side. Some people even took bricks home as souvenirs, making the opening even wider. They realized that a single brick is just a point of view and is part of the experience of life. But as a wall, it was boundary that kept them in and others out. It had become a thought prison of their making. As more people passed through the wall, they became aware that conflicts are natural, differences occur, and mistakes are made. But this time, they didn't retreat back into, I'm right. Instead, they listened longer, asked questions, resolved problems the best they could, and were in a state of wonder at how rich their lives had become when they appreciated differences. Relationships thrived. Their lives became a grateful meditation, and the wall of attachment crumbled to become an ancient artifact in the evolution of being. And they lived happily ever after. The moral of the story: now is the time to take down walls built with bricks of attachment in your own life and create an opening. You may be surprised and grateful for what you have and what you can see. And so it is, and so I let it be.
Amen. Thank you, Laverne. And now I bring to you the main speaker for today, Reverend Leora Nash, and the title is I See You, a non-emergency call. Reverend Leora.
Thank you, Gary. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, community. What a joy it is to be here, even though I'm 2,000 miles away approximately. I'm still there in heart and spirit with each one of you. So I so appreciate Reverend June, my sis, inviting me to be here with you today. And it's just a great joy. So I'm talking a little bit different this morning about everyday wonders, which CSL has chosen for the month of looking at community today. And what I believe is that Miracle Center for Spiritual Living is a community, whether it's local within there at on Taylor Road, North Taylor Road, or the community that spreads forever wide, encompassing 2,000 miles where I am. So I'm going to share with you a couple of individual comments of individuals whom I consider are miracle workers. And I would like for each of us, under the sound of my voice, to begin to understand what a miracle worker is. And that miracle worker is you. It is I see you. And that's an acronym. And of course, it's I see you, or ISEE you, YOU. You can interpret it however you choose. But I'm going the spiritual route with this today. And it's a non-emergency call. When we think of ICU, we immediately think about some emergency that's going on around the world, within our lives, within a street corner, and we think of ICU as running to the hospital. Well, let us run to the inner hospital that resides within each one of us. So I'm going to share with you a couple of thoughts, and these are miracle workers, and I know one of them you will recognize right away. And this was sent to me back in February 3rd, 2021, and it was by our dear Jerry Haynes. And he says, raise your hand if you ever trusted the wrong person in life. I have held on to that as a pearl of wisdom. Jerry would often send various comments, thoughts, and you know, those of you that know him knew that he was one that was studied, continuously looked at life in a philosophical way. But I loved that statement, raise your hand if you ever trusted the wrong person in life. Because I guess we could all, if we had more than two hands, we would raise all of that and then some. But then the other comment that I wanted to share with you is by a noted minister. His name is Reverend Noel McGinnis. And Noel has been in religious science for many, many years. And I like this comment that he wrote. And he says, if I understand science of mind's perspective correctly, any and all states of the world are always and only effects, and as such are never causal of any difference in the effectual realm other than a manipulatively rearranged perception of its current conditional state. Therefore, it is only as we proceed from a changed consciousness of the realm of effects that a true difference of kind can be caused therein. The source of all true difference of kind is what Ernest Holmes called setting cause in a new motion. And this all relates to I see you. There are no new causes to be set in motion, only new motions that we may give to the one and only cause. So I'm going to begin to relate to the I, which is self, which is God, the God that lives within us. There's no separation. You cannot be here without the living presence of the living God within you or anyone else in this life. So meanwhile, as long as our consciousness is conditioned by the realms of effects, this is what he says. Doing what doesn't work does not work. Altering what doesn't work does not work. Revising what doesn't work does not work. Doing more of what doesn't work does not work. Trying harder at what doesn't work does not work. Improving of what doesn't work does not work. Getting better at what doesn't work doesn't work. Committing to what doesn't work does not work. Mastering what doesn't work does not work. The only thing that works is doing, and what does work, which requires a prerequisite change of the consciousness from which whatever isn't working proceeds. Einstein's famous acknowledgement that no problem can be solved with the same consciousness that created it. If we internalize those words, just those two, I call it scholarly thoughts, and embody them within our own living, within our own mental existence, within all of what we think, say, and do, the I that is God within us becomes extremely relevant. I see. What sees? What sees? Noel McGinnis finishes off his comments almost with every writing that he has ever written. And I don't know, Noel is writing a great deal anymore just because of how life takes us along a certain course and brings us to a closure. But he says, though I don't always get what I'm looking for, I do always get what I'm looking from. I always get what I'm looking from. So it's imperative for us to look at the I, which is God. I see. God sees. It is the ability, the intelligence within each one of us that actually sees through the lens of the I, EYE. And it's just a little bit of a different twist in looking at I see you. So on the other hand, Belonging is about freedom of authenticity. It is the freedom from having to alter ourselves so that we will be accepted, wanted, and valued. When we belong, we are respected for who we are and loved without having to do or be anything other than ourselves. The quality of what happens when it is that we let loose of judgments, preconceived ideas, thoughts that we kind of know it all. And when we become that essence of, I love the name of the church, miracle. When we become miracle workers, and each of us is a miracle worker, when we're working and doing the will of God that is inspired within us through our filters, and our filters can be judgment, history, how we've been raised, all of those kinds of things, that we finally come to the realization at some point, as Jerry Haynes says, let me get back here so I can quote it correctly. Raise your hand if you ever trusted the wrong person in life. We are all there. We have trusted whatever it is that we thought worked, and we've tried, we failed, and maybe we've achieved. But when we turn to the miracle that lives within us, we become that miracle worker that makes our independent decisions and takes our actions independent of all that we've ever learned, all that we've been socialized. Then we become independent within ourselves, and we become that strength of God. No, it does not mean that we always achieve goodness and rightness and fullness. But you know what? We get to stand on our own 2 feet, and we get to use the intelligence that is the God life in us that makes decisions and says, kid, you might want to look at that a little closer. You just might want to reevaluate. And we have the power to do that because we see through the eyes of God and not through social etiquette. So what I understand right now in this moment is that as long as I settle for just fitting in, and boy, I've done that, and I know you have too, you've made adjustments through go before high school, into elementary school, into junior high, into high school, maybe your first job, maybe your relationship with someone whom you just love beyond extreme. We make adjustments to fit so that we feel as if that other person or situation loves us. Well, we are not necessarily loving ourselves because we're fulfilling an image. We're attempting to fit in. We're attempting to be what someone else thinks we ought to be. And we're never satisfied at a deep level. Within the longing of our heart, it is to be intimately seen. Intimately seen. And that intimacy is the reveal of what God is. So we look upon ourselves in love to experience the safety of truly belonging. I see you. And that you is whatever that is projected through this wisdom sense of the ability to see through the eyes of God. Then we get an opportunity to say, I can see through love, and I can see through intelligence, and I can see through compassion. It may not be that how I respond to what I see is glorious, because sometimes we have to use our intelligence to say, this isn't working for me. This is not a healthy situation for me to be in. And it's the I that sees. Because you see, we begin to rely upon our inner feelings. Our inner feelings tell us what we're thinking. And what we think, we move into action. And sometimes it's important to stop long enough. I love meditation for that purpose, to just shut everything down, all the causations that are going on around me, and just to become still, to go to that source, that inner source. Because I'm physical, and that means that I'm spiritual, because what I am first is spiritual, living a human experience of living life. And I'm no different than any of us. This is the course of action that we each belong. This is what we live, and this is what we know. And this is the value, certainly, of just, I want to say studying, but accepting, taking into heart the teachings of religious science, because it is a science of how to live differently, to understand the glory and the gifts that life presents to us. So the lesson that I shared today is ICU, a non-emergency, is not relating to the functionality of the physical eye, defining the spiritual eye. It is principle. God is principle, and all of its aspects, the nature that which comprises, as you've heard me say before, I'm sure, that we live an inside job. We live from the inside out. We live from the inside out. So to see, I wrote this definition: to perceive with our eyes. We look at something or someone using the natural function of one's eyes. It's simply the ability to see. But what lies beyond the seeing lies beyond the physical ability to focus, to see. And maybe it is that individuals who have difficulty seeing, that are what we call blind, they live in the silence. They live in the, I don't want to say that they live in the darkness, because I don't know that that's true, but they live within a space that there's no image. I don't know if that's light or dark. I haven't really studied it that closely. But seeing is functional. We perceive with our eyes. We look outward. The question is, what sees? What sees? Being that God is inside of us, God is the quality that is us. Holmes tells us there is nothing supernatural about the study of life living. Our eyes are continuously bombarded by an enormous amount of visual information, millions of shapes, colors, and ever-changing motion all around us. For the brain, this is no easy feat. On the one hand, the visual world alters continuously because of changes in light, in viewpoint, and other factors. On the other, our visual input constantly changes due to blinking and the fact that our eyes, head, and our body are frequently in motion, as here I am in motion. Let us pause to review the significance of vision. We may question is what is seen the personal why, and Jerry can talk to us about the why questions of our internal purpose of existence. Considering the question, what sees? Is God's vision important? In the Bible, the word vision is more often used as an encounter with God, where he imparts special revelation, often intuitively in dreams or in dark sayings. And I want to read a little bit of Numbers, because this is where I found my answer. And maybe it's not so much an answer, but a revelation. to just constantly add to what I perceive is true, because the synonymous action, information, truth that is spoken through the Bible is didacted through the perception of what is seen in the times, seen in the personality, seen within the intelligence of what is understood. And yes, the Bible is that ancient foundation for us all in so many ways, but it's part of what the Christianity has, mood of thought has taught us. And if you begin to look at other religious orientations, other belief systems beyond Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, all having some base of study, of practice that takes them to that inner self, to that inner knowing. So I'm just going to read a little bit about what we believe and our relationship with the Bible. And this is Revelation chapter 22, and I'm going to start with the 12th verse. And behold, I am, excuse me, get my sticker out of the way. And behold, I am coming quickly, and my reward is with me to give to everyone according to his work. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are those who do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter through the gates into the city. The story that Laverne shared with us so beautifully this morning, considering the bricks being taken one at a time, and are there not bricks in our own lives that we take down? We might discard them, we may set them aside, just as a reminder of what it is that we have released and let go, so that we can enter a greater understanding. This is the truth of what it is wisdom teaches us. There is so much within the Bible that correlates into how it is that we see daily. I see you. I haven't talked a lot about the you aspect of it. And it doesn't mean you, me. It means the you that we perceive before us, the commonality of all people. I see you. What I'm looking at, I'm looking with. Am I seeing you through the eyes of judgment? Am I seeing you because I'm unhappy? Therefore, you have to be unhappy. Therefore, I will cast my disparaging comments to you. And guess what? We catch it. We catch it and we go to market with it. We even pass it on. We are so endangered within our thinking at times that we don't even know that. The opposite is, I see you. Seeing through the eyes of love, seeing through the eyes of God, the eternal existence of all that is. God is that love that is us, that is that life lives within us. Again, I want to draw back to what Jerry Haynes said. Raise your hand if you ever trusted the wrong person in life. I believe that as we move into this belief and this understanding, this wisdom of truly letting go, letting the shackles drop from our minds, from our hearts. No, it does not mean not to be practical. The wisdom is to be practical, to know thyself, to know thy environment, to know your wants and desires, but to place them in a situation whereby it's God's way, not my way. Ernest Holmes moves us in this way, and this is right out of the Living the Science of Mind. What would happen if we could convert the energy of fear to faith, the energy of doubt and uncertainty into a feeling of belonging to the universe and being safe in it? Would not the original artist himself go forth into new creation through us? That's the invitation, to allow God to be God through us. Dr. Holmes spent his teenage years outdoors and asking himself, and I think this is a fact that we forget in many ways, and certainly we revere what it was, the inspiration, the gift that Ernest Holmes possessed within himself. And let me stop here momentarily to have each of us to recognize that we are each a gift. Within each of us, God resides. So what is God? Who am I? Why am I here? Those are all questions that Ernest Holmes would, as a teenager, would go outdoors and ask himself. I think about being a teenager whereby it is that we come into the age of reasoning, that we begin to make sense of why we're here. What are we doing? What are we to do? How can we make a quality difference? So in the new thought, there is only one God, one, as it was read today. So now that we know there is one of us, nowhere is another living being an exact duplication of another being, only one of you, one of me, one of each of us. The reference in the Bible states, as I read earlier in terms of the symbolism of Revelation, the words "I see you," interpreting wisely, it takes time to be with God. And I know Reverend June has shared that wisdom comment from a minister teacher that we shared, Reverend Mary Louise Ruffner, years ago. And I truly believe that, and it holds true today. And it probably will hold true, not probably, it will hold true 200 years from now. It takes time to be with God. It takes time to be with the self, to recognize and to give allowance to the God within to be free. So therefore, our individual purpose, as today's lesson awakens an awareness of community. There's more than just me. There's more than just you. We live in this world of togetherness, and how beautiful and wonderful it is that we live together in the sphere of Miracle Center. Truly, we are a beloved community. And remembering the wisdom thoughts of Rumi, a wonderful poet. Out beyond idea of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. I will meet you there. And is that not what comes together on Sunday mornings at Miracle? Whether it's those of us that are of some distance in the comfy of our homes, Zooming in, being with those of you that have the courage to take on the weather and come to that wonderful place called Miracle Center. The reference to I considers this thought, becoming silent, allowing stillness within one's being, stopping the flow of internal chatter. I see you speaks and we listen, we can actually hear the hush of wings. I love that song. Let us remember, you can't heal what you can't feel. We are a living, feeling human beings, living a spiritual life. Remember that you are spiritual first. Spirituality brought you into physical form, not the other way around. The nature of life, the progressiveness of life, spiritual living brought you into physical being. Allow stillness in your daily living. Listen to the still small voice. That still small voice is not weak. It is as strong as we need to make it. If it is that we need to shout it out, it is strong. Even in the midst of danger, it is mighty. It is mighty to behold. And we are that that catapults our feelings, our thoughts, our emotions. And it's easier for us in this position of being a miracle worker to align our feelings with our emotion rather than having them skewed. Remember, you are an individualized expression of the one. You are precious. You are precious. You are a gift. Yes, a precious gift of life, living. Yes, one is captured in the vulnerability and common challenges we all face daily. We are to change our thinking. Changing our thinking heals our life. We see as God sees. And the advice for breaking us, and the living spirit of the divine provides encouragement. I'll read that again. The living spirit of the divine provides encouragement. Don't go looking for it outside somewhere. Don't go to a neighbor. Don't go to a friend. Don't go to a spouse, to your child. Go within. God is there. Listen to her, him, whoever you are, God is there. So basically, the thought, the comment, change your thinking, change your life, heals our lives. We see God as God sees us. The advice for breaking us out of our personal prisons to find healing and the strength to begin again. Gosh darn, I know myself. How many times, oh God, do I have the strength to start again? Yeah. And I speak firmly and forcefully because I believe it. I believe in God. I believe God is in me. There's no weakness there. There's only strength. And I got to use it. And I make that choice. And I know you do too. I get strong, crazy sometimes. But anyway, remembering that we are divine, that we are a gift, living in gratitude. We just went through a period of Thanksgiving, November. And I just find it rather amusing that Thanksgiving and the elements, the purpose, the focus always on Christmas is this gift giving. And yet we live it 365 days a year. Every second, give thanks for the fact that you're here. Give thanks for whatever it is that brings us to the awareness that there's a little work to be done here. God's here. Let me check in. Let me write whatever it is that seemingly is off kilter. I see you as a personal vision. It's an internal purpose of our existence. We don't exist without it. The eye of God sees through you. There is one life. I live life. No duplication. I let life live me, knowing never before, even now, never will be another I. The I that is you. Another I of we. So when we begin to look at community, we begin to look at what miracle is. The miracle is us individually being and living that presence of God right here, right now, as best can, knowing there's always room for growth, knowing that I need not have to hold on to my pain and sorrows of yesterday. I can let it go. I can give thanks that, yes, it's in my life, but the greater good is the fact that I'm here today, right here and right now. I don't have to camp out in yesterday. Jesus located his kingdom. These are the words that I want us to remember. Jesus located this kingdom of heaven in the only place anyone can find it, in our own heart and mind, in our own soul and spirit. And I read this not too long ago. I heard it from the mouth of someone whom I was in spiritual counsel with. And this is what was shared. If you can't see God, guess who turned away? And that was a direct quote that assists this individual to stay on their feet, to stay within the rightful thinking that God is their source, not what's in a bottle. We all have that premise. We all have that premise. And that premise is the livingness of the living God within each of us. So I just simply say, I see you. I see you. And what a wonderful, glorious event that is, to simply know that we know that within this community that lives and breathes, that encompasses each one of us, that accepts the gifts of who we each are individually, that we can say, I see you. I see you through the eyes of God. I see you through the eyes of love. And I appreciate you. And I thank you for being here with me this morning to just share a little bit of thought, a little bit of inner guidance, a little bit of what I believe is true for me. Because what I believe in you, and I see you, and I love you. Thank God that each of us is a miracle worker. So I say, go in peace and in love. Be blessed this day. Thank you. So I think from what I understand in terms of my outline, oh, there's Jerry. Good. The man is on. He's going to let me know what I'm supposed to do and say and be right now. Thank you, Jerry.
We'll have a closing prayer by Reverend Leora.
Okay. So, gosh, let's just take a breath, just a second to just breathe into the acceptance of what has been shared, letting that kind of ruminate within the soul of one's being. Let us just simply accept the uniqueness of each one of us as this able, enabled individual spirit of God, knowing that God sees through us. It is through our human eye, the intelligence of this physical being, that gives us sight, the ability to speak our word, the ability to think, the ability to rearrange our thinking, whereby we recognize and accept as a miracle worker that we are endowed, we are embraced, and that we embody, that we express love, that we come from that place that I see you, that God sees through us, that we are connected in that vision, that ability to see only love, intelligence that supports our right versus our undoing. For every step that we take is right, because that's what it is that we have chosen to do. Therefore, we must stop, listen, make that decision within ourselves. What is speaking through us? What bricks must I take down? I can walk freely through that open gate that welcomes me. That open gate where I walk through to teach, to share, to give, to take the light, to be the gift, to take the gift to others, that others may see their own internal light, that ever-present light is not diminished. It is ever present. And it is for each of us to know that we are that precious gift, that gift of life. And the miracle happens within each one individually, collectively, as community. And of ourselves, we can do nothing. It is the will, the work of God itself. As we open ourselves widely to the truth of our existence, of our being, we just allow God to be God. And in this doing, of this knowing, of this embrace, and this fullness, this richness, we accept and know with full gratitude that we are that miracle. We are in community of miracle. We walk by faith, not by sight. And in this embrace of letting go, we let ourselves be, and we see through the eyes of I see you. And so it is. Amen.
Let's give Reverend Leora a round of applause. Thank you so much, Reverend Leora, for that wonderful, wonderful message. I'm just overwhelmed a little bit today. I mean, just going through the Declaration of Principles and listening to that wonderful story that Laverne told. And then having it follow up by all of these messages through Reverend Leora. This is just so much stuff. So right now, artists, can you come forward to do the collection? And it's just a wonderful time. Gilbert, would you play something for a few minutes while the collection takes place? See. I predict that sometime in the future, we're going to have our choir come back together.
Yes, yes.
And you're going to get live singing. I'm looking over at Arnie. he's looking the other way.
I see you.
We will get him. I see you. I see you. There are so many things that have transpired this morning. It's just a wonderful, wonderful time. Don't forget the 3 P's: prayer, purpose, and progress. And I just want to give thanks for all of you out there in Zoom land as you make your donations online through PayPal. Just give thanks as the board president. And just remember that through the Christmas holidays, we have extra bills and things that we have to do for the city and so forth. So just, don't forget us. As you're buying presents for everyone, buy presents for Miracle Center also. And a little add-on here, for those of you that were at the card workshop yesterday, we had a good time. I made some Christmas cards, if you don't believe it. Well, we had a wonderful time, and it's just, I just want to impress upon everyone that they should come through and come to some of these things that we have. It just really, I mean, the little bit of money that it cost to make 3 cards, it was worth the fun of putting together with all these little pieces of paste and glue and all that stuff. It was a good time. And now new on the back of your, on the 3rd page of your program is a financial report. And we'll put it out there as quickly as we can get it, but monthly we'll be putting in a financial report. And I'll tell you how much our income was for the last month, and the last month here was October. Income, expenses, and whether we've made money or whether it's a loss. If you see a little minus sign and it's in red, that means we didn't make enough to cover, so we had to dip into some of the savings accounts that we had. And at this time, if you just settle in and put your feet flat on the floor, take a nice even breath. Onto the benediction. Infinite Spirit, in whom we live, move, and have our being. I just give thanks for this time. I give thanks for Reverend Leora, all the other ministers that we have, the practitioners, the members, the friends. Each and every person that's had anything to do with putting things together for this service. It's been a wonderful experience this morning, and we are enlightened. I am enlightened. I have enough to carry me through the next week, through the next month, I think, with all that was passed out. And I just know that we are blessed in this week as we carry on. We're blessed as we motor to our individual homes. And I just give thanks for this time that we've been together. And if you're in agreement with me, you can say with me. And so it is. Amen, amen, and amen. And we'll do the peace song, and then we'll connect with the folks that are on Zoom. So if you would circle up.